Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Meeting the Moment, Embracing and Navigating Pivots, Part 2. Today, I am joined by my former coworker, David Norman, JD SPHR, a career and leadership coach, and as I said, former Fortune 500 VP of HR. David's also a nonprofit board member who is on the show because he is in the midst of a career pivot. His passion for the intersections of DEI, access, social justice, and mental health have him going back to grad school in the fall to get his MSW. He's on the path to becoming a therapist. David's also a travel enthusiast. He loves spending time with his friends. He's an avid memoir reader, and he's joining us today from Detroit, Michigan. Hey, David.
Hey, it was a great intro. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here. Let's jump in. As I alluded to, you spent 14 years climbing the HR ladder inside Fortune 500 organizations, telling people to bring their authentic selves to work while quietly knowing you couldn't fully bring your own self to work fully. Now you're headed back to grad school for an MSW and building a coaching practice for the LGBTQ and neurodivergent professionals navigating the same systems you helped run. What from your HR career are you carrying with you into this next chapter? And what did you have to leave at the door to make this move?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I have a lot of feelings about corporate America, but I can't say that I necessarily regret anything that I've done. I think corporate experience is very valuable. I think everything I've learned will only make me stronger in the way that I show up for future clients as a therapist. I think it's really helpful to understand how the business world works, how the stock market works, how people work. That's one of the biggest benefits of working in corporate America is you get to work with so many different types of people from so many different backgrounds and countries. And that perspective is something I'll definitely be taking with me. I think another thing I would take with me is the relationship building skills that are required in corporate America. Not always easy. And I think that that's very applicable to really all walks of life, all professions. Some things that I would like to leave. I think particularly in HR, I think we can become judgmental, which is counterintuitive to what the profession stands for in a textbook. But I think I've just seen a lot of behaviors in HR that HR wouldn't tolerate outside of the function. And I want to leave that behind. And there's going to be a lot of unlearning I'm going to have to do. Like, it's not going to be easy. But I don't want to be judgmental. I want to have a more open mind. I want to be curious and meet people where they're at and understand that everyone's really doing the best they can with the tools and resources that they have.
Absolutely. You used to believe you can make corporate America better from the inside. You no longer do. Well, at least that's what you told me.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing for an HR leader to say out loud because the whole job you had was asking employees to trust the system. How did you rebuild trust in your own judgment after years of being the person reassuring everyone else?
Yeah. That's a tough one for sure. I used to fundamentally think, and I used to say this, so it's interesting. If I think back to undergrad, I was a political science major. I was very big in social justice. I founded an anti-genocide group that is still alive today. Okay. And then I think I went to law school, and for better or worse, I just wound up chasing money and titles. And so I feel like I'm kind of getting back to my roots, but I say that because most of my closest friends went more into helping professions and, what I used to say, like more do-gooder professions. And I used to tell them that, I can make corporate America better. Once I'm a CHRO, I'll be able to have more influence. I'll be able to change things. And then having worked directly for two different CHROs, I just no longer believe that. I think the systems and the way things are set up change people, change their behavior, maybe attract the wrong behavior. And yeah, so I no longer believe that, but and at the same time, kind of unrelated, but I also had like a much later in life, only a couple of years ago, ADHD diagnosis. And through that, I've been learning a ton about how people, well, a lot of people with different neurodivergent backgrounds have really strong intuition. And I think I maybe haven't trusted that enough, because I've been feeling this tug for a while. I mean, really, I would say since the pandemic. I think the pandemic kind of had us all reflecting on what's important and how we're showing up in this world. And so I think I'm learning to trust myself more and trust what my gut is telling me more. And I hope that that authenticity will resonate with future clients and help build trust, because I really am trying to get back more to my roots and what feels right for me.
I think it definitely will. We're going to segue to relationships, which you brought up in your, I think your first or second answer. You have talked about colleagues from your HR career who became friends for life. Now you're building a practice rooted in relationships of a different kind. Mm-hmm. What has this pivot revealed about which professional relationships travel with you when you stop performing the corporate version of yourself? And what are you learning about the kind of relationships your coaching clients need from you that they couldn't get from the systems they came through?
Yeah. I think throughout my career, there's always been those of us in HR that are real, that really went into HR to help people, to make workplaces better. I would say, unfortunately, that's probably not a small minority. There's a lot of those people in HR trying to, but I think we all kind of get, you just kind of get, I don't know, you somehow conform over time. But I think that I know there's so many people I will stay close with forever because of the bonds we formed working together in HR. And then there's definitely plenty of people who I know for a fact think that I'm crazy doing what I'm doing, and probably have some judgment and feelings about what I'm doing, and that's okay. But I think again, it kind of sounds similar to my last answer, but I just hope that having had this experience and coming back to what feels real and true to me will allow me to build strong relationships with future clients and kind of bring that authenticity and corporate experience into that setting.
I definitely think it is. Like your transparency, your authenticity, your, taking your mask off. You do it on LinkedIn often. I'm sure you share things with your coaching clients that obviously you can't reveal here, but that help them connect with you. So that's a great segue to my next question, because here's another place that a lot of us, especially HR leaders or recruiting leaders or people that are, in the center of helping people get hired, here's a place where they struggle. I know it's definitely a place I struggle. You spent 2 years looking for work in a market where your go-to, so the referrals, they stopped working. The pendulum swung hard towards employers. It's still there. Mm-hmm. As someone who used to design these systems and is now coaching the people getting chewed up by them, how do you hold the HR profession accountable for what it has become, or perhaps what it's always been, but we just didn't talk about it? And then how do you stay accountable to your clients who are paying the price for the work we didn't do?
Yeah. I mean, the current job market is nothing short of unhinged. I mean, and I graduated college in 2008. So like, I am not new to a crappy job market, but this job market is different. And unfortunately, I think it'll ebb and flow, but I think this might be a new normal with a lot of different factors in the world. And I mean, honestly, I want to say very clearly that HR needs to do better. There is so much behavior happening right now in the market between, even elite headhunters and top employers, the ghosting, the spending time with candidates, multiple rounds of interviews for senior level roles and then never hearing anything. That is completely inexcusable. And whenever I have the opportunity, I do try to email them and offer feedback, not in like a cruel way, but like, hey, you did this, it made me feel this, and this is not okay to treat candidates like this. I mean, this will come back to hurt you and your organization, whether it's 3 months down the road or a year down the road. And I'm a big believer in paying things forward. So even though I wasn't rolling in job offers myself throughout my search, even this week, I've had 2 calls offering to help people who've lost their jobs in my network and telling them some tips and tricks and things that worked for me, sharing resume templates. Like, I will always pay forward things that people have paid forward to me, and I will always clap and cheer for others until it's my turn. And I really think that we in HR especially all have an obligation to do that. And for anyone listening to this, I'd really encourage you to do anything you can to help people that you see struggling on LinkedIn.
Yeah. And I can attest to that because, we had our prep call, and the next thing I knew, you had sent me a template in my inbox. And I'm like, I'm the person that sends the templates. Like, I'm the person that's supposed to do all this. But I know for folks that are like, wait a minute, are you really good at your job? Yes. People have a hard time telling their own story. People don't really write their own resumes well.
Trust me, I kind of had to swallow my pride when I had to fork over $1,500 to pay a professional resume writer for that template.
You never told me that, but let's move on. This is about me. This isn't about me. A proactive mindset in the middle of a job market this brutal isn't obvious. The obvious move is to keep applying. What's the practice or framework that helped you stop optimizing for the next HR role and start building towards something that doesn't yet exist?
Yeah, I mean, for me, and this isn't going to be the case for everyone, but for me, I just had a couple of moments that made things clear that I wanted to move in a different direction. And part of this is probably my ADHD, but once I decide on a new direction, I kind of go all in. So like, it was from the moment of deciding like, I'm going to stop looking for jobs and move in this new direction. Like, by a week later, I had my application submitted to grad school. I was just like on it. And I also want to acknowledge that I'm very fortunate. Like, I've had good friends I can stay with and not pay rent during this transition. I was lucky enough, and I'm not saying this to brag, I'm saying it to hopefully inspire people. I was lucky enough to get a pretty big scholarship opportunity for this grad program I'm going back to, even though I'm a very non-traditional candidate. And so not everyone has these resources, and I want to acknowledge that. But I think I don't mean this to sound trite, but the job market is awful, and the constant rejections really, really take a toll on your mental health. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. And so if there's anything I can impart, I would say you really, especially while you have downtime during unemployment, like of course you need to keep looking, of course you need to keep hustling, but you also need to, carve out a lot of time each day for your mental well-being, whatever that looks like for you. Make sure you're getting exercise, make sure your, meditation really helps for me, reading, getting sunshine, getting outside. Like, you need to do those things because the constant rejection will take a toll, and then you won't show up well when you do get those opportunities.
Thank you for saying that. And that's a great segue to the last question in this segment. I just want to reiterate that you talked about throughout this conversation and, between you and I, and then also on your LinkedIn posts, that the moment in this job market is what gave you the courage to lean into something that you've really been thinking about since 2020. For the listener who is unemployed, who is underemployed, or quietly unraveling inside a job that no longer feels right, what does meeting this moment actually look like?
Yeah, I think you need to, if you have the luxury of really reflecting and asking yourself the questions about, is this really how you want to be spending your energy, depending on where you're at in the employee life cycle? If you're closer to retirement, maybe that it's not as feasible, but I'll be going back to school at 41 this fall. you're never too old to start over. And like I said, like I didn't expect to get scholarship for this program, being a very non-traditional applicant. So I mean, I would say don't be afraid to take chances. You just never know what you can do. You mentioned my love of memoirs. That's why I love memoirs. Memoirs are such good examples of people pivoting and overcoming such adversity, and just people are very powerful. We can do really powerful things. And so I think while you have the downtime, I'm a big believer in saying yes to everything that comes your way, which is how I started doing podcast interviews. Like just say yes to opportunities, lean into different networks that maybe you didn't think are relevant for you, explore different career paths that maybe have been on your back burner for a while. Like you just cast a wide net is what I would say.
All great examples. All right, it's time for the rapid fire. Who is a well-known or lesser-known historical or contemporary figure who inspires you and we should learn more about?
Yeah, so for me, single-handedly, Dan Harris. He used to be an ABC News anchor, and he quit doing that probably about 10 years ago. And he built a meditation franchise. And he has a book called 10% Happier, which is also the name of his podcast. I started listening to this podcast. I read that book back in like 2018, and it changed my life. Like, because it's written for people who don't really believe in that type of stuff, and how he came to find it useful. Anyway, he's built this like amazing, his podcast is incredible. The amount of things I've learned and books I've read from his podcast, like Dan Harris, listen to his podcast, 10% Happier is always my go-to recommendation, because it is just such an excellent source of knowledge and fun interviews.
Okay. What's the best piece of career advice you've received you would give to your early career self?
Yeah, I had a recent leader who was new to an organization ask me some questions that I had never been asked before. You know, when she was getting to know me, she asked me, you know, what do you stand for? What are your values? And which, you know, you worked in HR, those are not, we don't typically get asked that. I wish we did more. And she asked me, how do I want to show up in this world? And that has really, really stuck with me, which honestly probably played a subconscious role in taking this pivot, because I want to show up in this world as maybe a little differently than my resume has reflected.
All right. So when, I'm changing this question a little. It's my show, I can do what I want. When you write your memoir describing your career so far, what will the title be?
Yeah, so I've wanted to write a memoir probably since I was like 18, because I grew up in a strange place, had a strange life. But if it were to be focused on my career, I think a good title would probably be Circle Back. I mean, because, you know,
I'm laughing because there's like, you know how when we get on the internet and we're playing around and it's like, what are those corporate terms that we hate?
Yeah. So I think it plays on that, but it's also relevant because I went to law school. I thought I wanted to be a lawyer for the longest time. I wound up in HR. I worked in HR for the longest time, and I'm continuing to circle back. And yeah, it's such like a corporate speak is so stupid. Like I'm looking forward to being less fluent in corporate speak as I make this transition.
I find myself saying those things, unfortunately,
I know.
my everyday life, and I'm like, ooh. Yeah.
It's ingrained.
It is. What fictional character gives you a glimpse of yourself?
This one I have a hard time with. My friends would tell you, less so now, but definitely like throughout my life, probably David Rose from Schitt's Creek. Just because like I think I'm less sassy now, but I can definitely be sassy. And underneath it all, I'm a good person, but I can definitely be sassy. So I think he's the one that probably comes to mind.
Have you watched his new show on?
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so good. It's such a good show. Big mistakes.
Yeah, Big Mistakes.
It's great.
I'm not finished yet. I have like
it's good.
episodes left.
It's great because it's like similar style humor, but a different storyline. And yeah, he's just great.
Okay. What is your go-to songs, or music genre when you want to hype yourself up to conquer the day?
So I am a very stereotypical Britney Spears gay.
I'm sorry.
Britney Spears is always my go-to, and I've basically had to accept that she's likely never going to make music again. But Baby One More Time, really any Britney Spears, just always gets me in the right mindset.
I've never heard that adjective before, but
well, then you don't have enough gay friends, my friend.
No. But like I know exactly what you mean. So they probably just didn't know the language to describe themselves.
Every gay can define themselves by the diva that they most follow.
Yes. Well, I think I hang with more Mariah Carey gays.
Yes.
Can I say that? If they
yeah.
could like ban me for saying that, you're like, you can't say that. Okay. All right.
No, you can say that.
I think I know more Mariah Carey.
I have some Mariah gays in my life.
Okay. Give them my number. What is your favorite empowering quote?
Okay, so this might sound it might sound dark. I have it tattooed on my leg. So I'm not a big poetry person, but my whole life I have been obsessed with this Robert Frost poem, Nothing Gold Can Stay. And I have, like I said, I literally have that. So Nothing Gold Can Stay is the title of the poem, but also the last stanza of the poem. And it sounds, I love it because you can interpret it both kind of in a depressing way, but also a positive way. And I choose to look at it like you have to treasure the present moment. You have to treasure what you have because you don't know how long you're going to have it. And therefore you should show up as the best as you can in this present moment while you have it.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go read that poem so I know.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a lovely poem.
All right. What's one thing you want people to take away from our conversation today?
I think authenticity is so important. I've always thought that, and I think it's even more important right now. I think we are collectively living through such a challenging time on every single level, and I think it's really important to get grounded in who you are and to tie it back to another question, to figure out how you want to show up in this world and really work towards that.
All right. Before I let you go, do you want to shout out any projects, initiatives, upcoming podcast appearances, or give folks a way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so it's everything is very much a work in progress right now, but I'm in the process of building a website that is technically alive, but still needs some work. It's just my name, davidlnorman.com, where I will eventually have a blog and as well as offer coaching services, and a few years from now offer therapy services. I do have some upcoming podcasts, but they're not like fully set yet. So just have to keep you posted, but add me on LinkedIn. One of my goals is to share a lot about this pivot journey as I go through it, because I've had an overwhelming amount of people reach out to me about this. And that's another thing I wanted to say is I'm toying with the idea of creating some sort of like safe space for people, especially from HR, who might be in HR thinking that it's not for them long-term, or people in the job market who, I don't know, I haven't fleshed this out fully, but if you are feeling like you need a place of community to brainstorm and talk about potential pivots, or just have a authentic community, that's something that's on my mind as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come and talk to me on Trap Chat. And thank all of you for watching. Yes, we still have more. I know this was episode 10 of part 2, but we still have more Meeting the Moment, Embracing and Navigating Pivots. So please join us again for the next episode. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.